Most of us have been taught to believe that our hair is dry, broken, or dehydrated, but that's not actually what the science says. What if your hair doesn't need fixing, but you're just stuck in a cycle that profits off your confusion? In this video, we're cutting through that noise. I'll show you what's really going on and how to break free from this cycle that keeps you stuck and overspending. If you're sick of spending money on hydrating products that never seem to work, you're not alone. The truth is, most of what we're told about hair porosity isn't backed by science. And I'm saying this as somebody with a chemistry degree, an accounting qualification, and a drawer full of products that I was told would fix my hair. This matters because the more confused we are, the more we spend. But once you understand what's actually going on, you can finally stop wasting money and take your power back. This all started from a comment on my hair care scam video. Somebody commented asking for videos for wavy, fine, and low porosity girlies. And I thought, am I supposed to know what my hair porosity is now? Because I don't. So I did what any recovering hair care junkie would do. I fell down a rabbit hole. I did the porosity test. You know, the one where you drop a strand of your hair into some water and wait to see if it sinks or floats. Well, mine floated, which, according to the internet, means it's low porosity and therefore bad at absorbing moisture. So now, apparently, I need clarifying shampoos, lightweight hydration, steam caps, maybe even a moonstone ritual. It's a whole thing. But the longer I stared at this floating hair, the more I thought, wait, doesn't surface tension hold things up in water? Like how a paperclip can float if you're careful. Isn't this just physics? And that's when I felt that creeping sense that I wasn't being educated. I was being marketed to. This test didn't come from a lab. It came from Pinterest or TikTok or some brand's blog. So I kept digging. And here's what I found. There's no scientific definition for hair porosity. It's not a clinical measurement. It's not even something that cosmetic scientists can agree on. The only legit way to measure porosity is in a lab using gas sorption. And that's where they measure how much air your hair absorbs, not just a kitchen bowl and a glass of tap water. So now I'm questioning everything because that porosity test wasn't science. It wasn't education. I wasn't being given clarity. I was being sold confusion. That test was a gateway to a porosity-based routine I never asked for. The more I went down the porosity rabbit hole, the more products I apparently needed. And suddenly I'm staring at a shopping cart worth 120 quid and thinking maybe I'm the problem. But that's the lie. The industry convinces you that your hair is broken, porous, dehydrated, frizzy. Then it sells you layer after layer of fixes. And when it doesn't work, you don't question the system, you just blame yourself. Meanwhile, the brands, the influencers, the billion-dollar companies, they're making money whether your hair improves or not, because it wasn't about hydration. It was about keeping you on the hook. So, what's actually going on here? Because the deeper I looked into this whole porosity equals hydration, the less it made sense, at least scientifically. Let's start inside the strand. Each hair is made of keratin, a tough, coiled protein bundled up like rope. These are held together by different bonds. Strong covalent bonds that are permanent, weaker ionic ones that respond to pH, and the ones we care about here, which are hydrogen bonds. Hydrogen bonds are like Velcro. They hold your hair structure together, but they break every time that they get wet. That's why wet hair feels stretchier and more flexible. The structure is temporarily loosened, but that also makes it more fragile. Zoom in even closer, and the outside of the strand is covered in overlapping plates called cuticles, like roof tiles or fish scales. Water slips between the scales and into the inner layer of the hair strand. But your hair is not a sponge. It can only absorb up to 30% of its weight in water before it becomes fully saturated. Any more than that, and you're just wetting the surface. So when a product promises to flood your hair with moisture, that's not science. That's poetry and not the good kind. The hair strand swells when water enters, and it opens the structure up. And while that's part of what allows us to style or reshape our hair with heat or products, It also means that it makes the hair strand softer and more vulnerable. Any stress applied to your hair whilst it's wet, like brushing, towel drying, tying it up, it causes micro cracks. And over time, those cracks add up. So what does hydration actually mean for hair? Because if water can get inside the strand, doesn't that mean the more water in the hair, the healthier and more hydrated the hair is? Because that's what I used to think. But in cosmetic science, it's not that simple. A study showed that strands that absorb more water actually felt rougher, not smoother. Because when the strand swells, the cuticle lifts up, like puffing out a balloon. And lifted cuticles mean rougher texture, more tangling, and more dullness. You've seen this on a humid day. Humidity is just water in gas form. It sneaks into your hair, lifts the cuticle, and boom, causes frizz. That's why your blow dry looks great in your bathroom mirror and turns into a halo of fluff the second you walk outside. Or you could Google Taylor Swift humidity concert hair.
So, as you can see, my hair has returned to its factory settings thanks to the humidity here. I'm not complaining, I like it.
It just shows that even billionaires can't outsmart physics. Meanwhile, hair that absorbed less water feels smoother and more moisturized because the cuticle layer stayed flatter and more intact. So what feels good isn't more hydration, it's less destruction. That completely flipped how I thought about moisture, at least when it came to hair anyway. It's not about how much water your hair holds, it's about how soft and manageable it feels. And that's kind of the opposite of what the hydration marketing keeps telling us. Now, if you've got curly or coily hair, especially tightly textured, you might be thinking, okay, but my hair is dry. And you'd be right, because textured hair is structurally different. The curlier it is, the harder it is for the natural oils to travel down the strand. So dryness isn't a myth here, it's a real challenge. But the industry has used that challenge to sell an even more intense version of the same lie. They push heavy oils, thick butters, multi-step routines, promising to hydrate your curls without explaining what those products actually do. But your hair isn't dry because of low porosity or because you didn't use enough leave-in. It feels dry because textured hair doesn't have that oils that are traveling down it. It needs protection, not punishment. What helps textured hair is the same thing that helps all hair: reducing friction, strengthening the structure, and being gentle when it's wet, which led me down another rabbit hole. Am I damaging my hair by getting it wet every day? Here's the bit that really got in my head, because I'm not normal. I get my hair wet every day when I shower, not with shampoo or anything. I just like to rinse it through. And suddenly I'm thinking, oh my God, am I destroying it? I'd heard of something called hydro fatigue. And it's the idea that constantly wetting and drying your hair makes it swell and shrink so much that it breaks it down. But after researching into this, the truth is hydro fatigue isn't a recognized condition in cosmetic science. It's a theory that got repeated until it sounded official. In healthy hair, water enters and exits without any long-term damage. The real risk isn't the water. It's what you do with your hair whilst it's wet, because that's when the structure is softer, the cuticle is raised, and the whole strand is more vulnerable. So I like to think of water as a reset button for my hair. It breaks those hydrogen bonds, and as it dries, those bonds reform in whatever shape the hair is in. That's why heatless curls work. That's why your plaits leave a wave. It's chemistry. I can't tell you how many times I've stood in booths holding two nearly identical bottles, Googling best conditioner for low porosity fine hair, like I was trying to diffuse a bomb. I've spent ridiculous amounts on hydration masks, bond builders, clarifying shampoos, all trying to fix hair that wasn't broken. It was just reacting to bleach, or humidity, or the fact that I just slept funny. And when these products don't work, I didn't question the products. I thought that I needed more steps, more hydration, maybe a steam cap, maybe a spreadsheet. Because this industry is clever. It doesn't just take your money, it takes your confidence. It turns basic hygiene into a full-time hobby. There's an old Greek myth about a man called Sisyphus. He was punished by the gods, and his sentence was simple. He had to roll a giant boulder up a hill, only it would always roll back down before he ever reached the top. Forever. He never got to rest. He never got to win. Just endless effort with nothing to show for it. And honestly, that's exactly what this feels like. You follow all the steps, buy all the right products, do everything that you're told, and your hair still doesn't look how it should. So you try again and again. Maybe this time it'll work. I'm not saying ditch everything and go shampoo free in a field. I still wash my hair. I still buy products. I still use conditioner. I just stopped believing that my hair was a problem to be fixed. So if you want to opt out of the noise, strip it back to science, not slogans. Water breaks hydrogen bonds. It doesn't quench your hair. Most hydrating products, they don't hydrate, they coat. Oils, silicons, fatty alcohols. They smooth the surface, not fix the structure. Ask better questions. Instead of what's wrong with my hair, try what's it reacting to and what does it need to feel manageable. Focus on support, not control. You're not chasing perfection. You're building resilience. That means use conditioner to reduce friction, be gentle when it's wet, protect it from heat and harsh chemicals, and skip the float test because that's not real data. Reclaim your money and your time. Before you buy anything, ask, is this solving a problem or selling me a fear? Because the more you understand the science, the less you need to spend. So yeah, my hair floated. But what really sunk in was the realization that this whole system was never about helping me understand my hair. It was about keeping me uncertain so I'd keep spending. But now I know better and you do too. And that is where the power is. Because once you stop blaming yourself, once you stop chasing fixes for problems that don't even exist, you can decide what stays in your routine and what doesn't. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be. And if you want to go deeper into how the hair care industry keeps women stuck and overspending, I've made a video exposing the whole system, the marketing tricks, the fake science, all of it.